How's it going, guys? This is Jake here and Nika for a quick test. Well, one, I appreciate all you guys attending and taking time out of your busy days. I know you got a lot of pulse on your time, so appreciate you guys tuning in and wanting to learn more about Perch and what we do. So just a quick test before we get started to make sure that all you guys aren't having technical issues. I guess hit the little raise hand button or write a message if you are having technical issues. Just want to make sure everybody, for the most part, is good. And Nico will try to help you out if you are having some issues. But for the most part, looks like everybody is solid. So quick introductions. So myself, co-founder and CEO of Perch, and then Nika here is our head of sports science. So we're going to take you through a quick product demonstration. This one is going to be a little bit more brief, so very high level. We're going to take you through kind of different hardware components, some basic setup, so actually how to get everything installed, and then both creating an organization, so kind of how to use the web app side of things, which is how you create athletes, export your data, set up competitions, and additionally how to actually generate some data. And I'll stop at different increments along the way to give you guys time to ask any questions. And then this is getting recorded, so I'll present that to you guys after as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually give you guys the rundown of the hardware components. So I'm going to flip my computer around. You'll probably see a little bit of our office and our dartboard, but this is kind of basically the entire setup of Perch. So everything you need in one box to get set up really quickly. So this is our main product right here. So this is our Perch camera system. So really small, compact, about 5 pounds. And basically the way it works is similar like an Xbox Connect. So we have a small 3D camera inside housing, as well as a small computer encased back here being protected that does all of the image processing. So this easily gets strapped to any one of your racks. And I'll show you a video in a bit about really how easy it is to get it set up and installed. And it is small enough that it can be very portable. The camera is on a small motor, so this camera will actually rotate. And the reason we do that is it will rotate from lift to lift, and you'll actually tell the camera where you want it to look based off of what lift you're doing. So that allows us to keep everything compact but still capture the entire platform and the entire rack. So let's say you have a full rack, for instance, and you mount this on the front crossbeam. That camera for like an Olympic lift will be looking forward at the platform, but it can actually rotate completely behind itself, and now it's looking inside the rack. So it is flexible in that way, allows us to keep it really small. We do offer a couple different power options as well. So you can plug the camera system directly into the wall, but we do offer a portable battery pack as well. So not all weight rooms have access to power. Maybe you do want to make this portable and you want to take it from facility to facility. So we have designed this battery pack. So it gives you about 15 hours of continuous usage. And then additionally, we have 4 magnets embedded in the back. So you can just stick this right on the rack, right next to the camera system. And then a couple other components that you will need to get set up is just any old standard Android tablet. We are Android only right now, but we are working on an iOS version. And basically you will just install the Perch app directly on that tablet, and then Bluetooth connect both the tablet and the camera system. And then just a way to actually attach that tablet to the camera mount, to the rack. We actually like these double-sided magnetic tablet mounts. So you will just, you'll just connect one side of this to the tablet and the other side directly to the rack. So that's kind of basics of the hardware. I'm actually going to quickly show you guys, flip this back around. I'm going to just, we filmed it.
I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just going to shut my camera off so you guys can see the full effect here, but I'll be right here if anyone needs anything.
Yeah. And then, so we did film a cool video of just kind of showing you how easy it is to get everything set up. It's a little bit easier to communicate via video than actually doing it live here. So I'm going to quickly just share that video with you guys. Should be about 2.5 minutes.
Hey guys, this is Jake with Perch, and today I'm going to take you through how to set up the Perch system in as little as 5 minutes, how to go from no VBT in your weight room to auto-regulating your athletes really, really quickly. So behind me, we have everything you need to get set up. We have the camera system, battery or way to power the camera, a tablet mount, and a tablet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the camera system and attach it to the weight rack. So we've designed the camera system to be really flexible, meaning you can basically attach it to any weight rack out of the box. There are a few instances in which we can't attach to your weight rack, and we'll cover that in a separate video. So you're going to take the camera system and you're going to hold it up to that front crossbeam, and you're going to take the Velcro and then loop it around the attachment point and adhere it to itself. So really quick, and in a couple seconds, you have your camera on the rack. You can see it's robust, not really going anywhere. We do get a lot of questions about why we use Velcro straps, and the reason is just that. It makes the installation process really, really quickly, and we're not sacrificing on ruggedness or sturdiness. So now that we have the camera system attached to the rack, we got to figure out a way to power it. So you can use wall power if you choose, but today we're going to demonstrate how to use the portable battery pack. So we're going to take our battery and we're going to attach it to the rack. So there are a couple magnets embedded in the back. They allow you to just adhere it anywhere on the rack. We'll then use a supplied cable to just basically connect the battery directly to the camera system. So I'll take the battery, stick it up somewhere close to the camera system. We'll use a supplied cable to connect the two, and then we'll switch the battery on. So now the camera will start booting up, and just as a quick reminder, there is a pretty beefy computer in the back of the camera system. So similar like your laptop, it'll take about a minute or so to get up and running to get warmed up. So while that's booting up, we'll show you how to attach the tablet to your weight rack. So this is just any standard Android tablet that comes pre-installed with the Perch app. But you can basically just download the Perch app directly to your tablet, whether that's an iPad or an Android tablet. And then we have this tablet has a adhesive magnet on the back that allows it to become compatible with our double-sided tablet mount. So basically we'll just take the tablet with the magnet on the back, stick one side to the tablet mount, and then we'll take the tablet mount and we'll stick the other side directly to the rack. So just like that, you have all of your hardware installed. Your camera system, the camera system is being powered by the battery, and now we have the tablet on the rack. So once everything's installed, you'll then open up the Perch app. There are a couple steps you may want to do before this, such as setting up Wi-Fi both on the tablet and the camera system, and we'll walk you through that in a separate article. For expediency's sake, we'll just get right to lifting. So basically, now you have everything installed, you have Wi-Fi set up, so you'll log in, you'll select your athletes. So I'll select myself, for instance. You can easily adjust the weight. I'll stay on 45 pounds, and you can adjust the exercise. So let's stay on back squat for now. Click start. Do a couple reps. And just like that, you're auto-regulating your athletes really, really quickly, no strings attached. Thanks, guys.
That was around 3 minutes that it took to get everything installed, and that was with kind of talking in between everything. So it is very, very quick to get set up, and it does make it portable. And additionally, if, let's say you're buying a whole weight room of these, that's an hour and a half of setup time to get everything up and running. So it is very, very quick. So that's kind of setup installation. I guess I'll stop a little bit there if anybody has general questions about the hardware. But the next thing I'll walk you through is actually creating an organization. So actually logging in your athletes, creating that, getting it set up so that when you actually do install it, walk up to the rack, you can actually generate some data. So Nico, are there any general questions about hardware? Are we all good?
Nothing so far, but if you guys have questions, cool. Go ahead and type them in and we'll ask them.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. I don't know if you can see it already. Can you guys see my screen? Nico?
Yeah. Yes, we can see your desktop. There you go.
Okay. Cool. So right now, you guys are just looking at our website. I did want to bring up that we do have some pretty good support resources as well. So if you just go to our website, perch.fit, you want to learn more and you go to support. We do have basically all this information is kind of condensed into a bunch of articles. So here, basically what we're taking you through now will be like our startup guide. So talk you through overview of the system, hardware installation, setting up your organization. So we're giving you a quick run through, but these go into much, much more detail. So to actually set up your organization, the first thing you guys are going to want to do is go to our web app. So I will log out this really quick. And this is just app.perch.fit. So it's just app in front of our typical website. You'll be met with a login screen or a sign up screen. So if this is your first time signing up, it'll ask you to your email, first name, last name, password, and organization name. This is very much geared towards kind of professional collegiate athletics. However, we have had some individuals ask us want to maybe equip their personal gyms with this. So this would still work in that process as well. Whatever you want to call your garage gym, you would just name it there. We already have a demo account here. So let me just log in really quick. So the first page you'll see when you log in is actually your personal profile. So you can create as many athletes as you want inside the web app. But when you initially log in, you'll see your profile. This is going to be your first time actually creating the organization. You won't have a profile picture there. You won't have any data here, just because this is a demo account. You're seeing some of the historical data. But this would be like if you're a coach, an admin of the organization, or an individual athlete, this would be the view that you're seeing. So if I can filter this data, so go back to April 1st, click refresh, you'll see some of this historical data. So if I go back to April 2nd, each one of these tiles will represent a set, so I can actually expand these sets and then see some of this historical data. So I'm looking at the 2 reps that are in the set, looking at mean velocity, and then you can toggle the different metrics that we actually captured. So mean velocity, peak velocity, power output, and then some eccentric metrics as well, such as eccentric velocity or eccentric time. For most of you guys, this is going to be probably not the primary use case. You're probably going to be using our export feature, so you can look at some of the aggregate data from your organizations, and I'll take you through that in a bit. The main page you'll probably start on is the one right up here, this tab called State University. So this is just going to be whatever your organization name is. So this is just a demo account. So we'll click into State University, and you'll see a couple different boxes here. So one here is basically your organization. You can actually create some additional teams. So we haven't created any teams within the account. I'll show you how to do that. And then here is where you're actually looking at your users, so the users that are within the system. So I'll first start by creating a team. So first thing, we're going to do a basketball theme. We always do, and then you'll see another tab pop up here. And now we're actually filtering the users below this by team. So you can basically, you'll see that there are no users actually within this team. But it's very easy. You can either create a new user directly within this team, or you can add a user into the team after the fact. So I'll show you how to create a user now. So to create a user, we'll go down to this user view, and we'll click create new. And then we will just create some demo athletes. So because we're doing the basketball theme, we'll create Michael Jordan. Email is optional. So if you're creating a profile for a coach or an admin of the organization, you definitely want to put an email in there so they can log in. It's up to you what you want to do for your athletes. So we do give you the ability to basically create permissions or roles within an organization, which is what this is right here. So you have 3 different types of roles. You have an athlete role. An athlete is basically somebody that can log in and only see their own historical data, so they won't be able to see anybody else's, and they won't have any edit access. A coach is somebody that can log in, view everybody's data, but can't edit anything. And then an admin is somebody that can log in, see everything, and edit anything. So any strength and conditioning coaches, assistant strength coaches within your organization, probably recommend you to create them as admins. And then additionally, so Michael Jordan, if we enter in his email and then add him as an athlete, he'll be able to log in, and then but he will not be able to see anybody else's data. Additionally, if you add his email and then create him, we'll automatically send that person an email notification saying set up your Perch account. So I'll leave that email blank for now. And then additionally, I'll show you how to create an athlete directly inside a team. So we'll just add, so we can add an existing users. So I can add Michael directly to this team. That's how you add somebody to a team. And then additionally, we can create somebody directly inside this team. So if I do LeBron, gender, and then we'll click save. So now if I go back to all up here, we'll see that LeBron is within all, and then also within the basketball team. You'll notice one small change between the 2 views. So we have this role column right here, which I already took you through. But as soon as I go into like a specific team that you've created, you now have a position column here. And the reason we don't show that position column when you're actually inside all in the organization is if you're looking at multiple different teams. So let's say you have swim and dive, volleyball, baseball, all within this all. It wouldn't really make sense to have a positional column because they're not all the same sport. However, here now you're within basketball, positions actually make sense. So you can edit positions, and positions become very valuable, just allowing you to slice and dice your information. So if you go into exporting your data or setting up real-time competitions, you can basically filter a lot of this data based off of team and position to really kind of get like really low level. So to create a position, you would just click edit on this athlete, and then you would edit this position. This is kind of a pick list. So no positions are currently available because none exist. But if I create like a forward position, and click add, we can now create a forward position, and then we can actually save that position for LeBron. And then we can do the same thing for MJ. It will now give you the option to select forward, or we can create a brand new position and add that, and then save that. So now we have a couple positions created, and then that allows you to then again filter your data. The last kind of thing within a user management view is editing photos. So these photos both show up here and then on the tablet, which I'll take you through in a second. It's a way for when you log into the tablet, you can actually see your profile picture. So to edit photos, also very easy process. We'll just click choose file. It'll open up your finder, and then you can find the athlete. So I think I was on LeBron there. And we do the same thing for MJ. And then we'll click save next to each one of these guys. So that's creating athletes, creating your organization. There are a couple other views, which I think are very, very useful, and I'll take you through those really quickly. If you do have any more specific questions, though, feel free to ask them. So there's two other views here. And basically, this view stays the same. What changes is just the columns. So if I go into like a 1RM view, this is the ability to actually edit an athlete's 1RM. And the reason that can be really, really valuable is like a couple of reasons. One, we've given you the ability to set weight on the tablet via a percentage. So let's say you have a group of athletes all lifting at 75% of their 1RM. You can select 75% for all of your athletes, and then it will automatically assign the right weight to each person based off their 1RM. Additionally, it can be really useful for creating force velocity profiles in the export feature. So you can now see basically graph out percentage, like percent 1RM versus velocities. So you can start generating that curve. So it is very valuable to put these numbers in. You can edit them directly on here by just clicking on each athlete and editing it. So barbell curl, let's say I curl 200, and you can set between pounds and kilograms, and then you can save that data. The best way to probably do it, though, is we now have a new export and import feature. So I won't take you through that right now, but it is a pretty simple process where we'll export the data. It'll basically have the same columns and rows that you see here. You can modify or edit that export and then save that basically as a template and then re-import that, and all of this data will get filled in. So that's a much quicker process if you're doing like an entire team. And then the last view would be a groups view. So this is, again, similar to like teams or positions. It's another way to just slice and dice your organization. So you can, basically these groups are getting created within each team. So if you want to go into the basketball team and you want to create like a return to play team, you just do return to play, click save, and then we can add users, and it will only allow you to add users that are actually within that team that you're looking at. So we can add LeBron and Michael. Pretty quick process. It just allows you to, again, organize your data a little bit more. These are much more flexible than like the kind of team and position hierarchy. Additionally, these are also useful as lifting groups. You can actually access these groups from the tablet app to log in people more quickly. So I'll just create a sample lifting group to show you when we're on the tablet, if I can spell. All right, you get the point. I'll just add all of us here. So click add users. So I'll show you actually now that you have those 3 athletes in there, you can actually log in all 3 of those athletes at the same time. So that's kind of the basics of setting up your organization and organizing it. There are a couple key features here, export and leaderboard, which are very, very useful. And I'll take you through that after we go through the tablet app. Just because once we have some more data, those features I think will make a little bit more sense. I guess, do you guys have any questions about the web app before I jump over to kind of the basics of generating some data?
Jacob, really quickly, would you be able to just log out so that we can see the difference between the login tab and the sign up tab on the web app?
Sure. So I log out. So very, very simple. It's just 2 tabs up here. So if I go into sign up, it'll just ask, this is basically the main admin of the account. So whoever creates the organization will be created as like the admin. And then they can start creating athletes, adding new coaches to the organization. So it's just very basic information, first name, last name, password, and then your organization name down here. And all of this, the organization name is editable at any time. And then login is just, I'll have to log in again now, but just your email and password.
Great, thank you.
Cool. So I'm going to jump over to the tablet app now. Give me 1 sec. Now you guys should be able to see me, and then you should be able to see basically what's going on the tablet. So what you're looking at there is, and there will be a little bit of a lag, and that's just due to the stream going on. So this is just a Perch app on the tablet. So you can see very bottom center, you can find the Perch app. It'll open up, and for the first time you guys are logging in, it'll ask you for your username and password. That's the same username and password that you just used to create your organization. And any admin can use their username or password to log in. And this is a one-time login. So not every athlete is going to have to do this. This just lets us know which organization is currently using the product, so we can pick the right athletes to give you access to. So I'll just click submit to log in. The first step really is to connect everything to the internet, because we won't be able to actually log you in if we're not connected to the internet and looking at our database. So you'll connect the tablet to the internet, and then you'll log in. And now I'll just take you through kind of a basic use case of actually lifting. So the first step is logging in your athletes. So in the top left, you'll see this login button. If I tap it, so we'll tap it, and then you'll see the athletes that are currently within the organization. So to log an athlete in, we'll just select the name. That last athlete will be logged in. You can log in as many athletes as you'd like. And then to switch between athletes, it's just a quick tap. So you'll see that I'm currently grayed out. So if I tap my name, actually hit it, I'm now highlighted and LeBron is grayed out. So whoever's kind of highlighted is the person that the data is going to be stored under. But you can, let's say, if you accidentally lift under the wrong person, you can change the athlete that weight or that those reps were assigned to after the fact. To log in multiple athletes at the same time using that group feature, if I click in login again, you'll see another tab that says groups. So that will give you access to some of the groups that you've created within the organization. So if I select that lifting group that we created, you'll see that all three of those athletes now get logged in at the same time. So it can make that process a lot quicker. We are working on a couple different ways to actually allow you to log in athletes remotely from the computer, kind of setting up your organization, like from your office, for instance, so you don't have to go to each tablet and do it. That's a future thing we're working on. Changing the weight. So now that you have athletes logged in, we want to get ready to lift. So changing the weight is a simple process. So we'll tap where it says 45 pounds, and it'll actually bring up this new box that will, or this new information that will allow you to change the weight. So there's a couple of different ways to change the weight. You'll see that all of these athletes are actually highlighted right now. So that means that because they're all highlighted, whatever weight you change it to, it's going to change it for all of them. But if I just select myself, for instance, you'll see that LeBron and Michael are now grayed out. So if I just change the weight, it's just going to change the weight for myself. To get back to that all mode, I'll just click this button that says all, and now everybody is highlighted again. And I mentioned the ability to kind of change weight based off of a percentage of 1RM. So if I type in here a percentage, so let's say 85%, you'll notice that my weight, so if I click out of this, so if I click done, you notice that my weight is now set to 270 pounds. That's because I believe in there I had a 1RM of like 315. So it'll find the right weight, and I believe round it to the nearest 5 pounds for those 2.5 pound weights that you guys probably have. And then you'll notice that LeBron and Michael are currently set to 0 just because they didn't have a 1RM actually in the system. There are a couple other ways to change the weight as well. You can click where it says 270 and actually just manually enter the weight in, and that graphic will update. Or you can choose to actually add plates or subtract plates, and that graphic will update. So we'll do the barbell math for you guys. And we also do pounds and kilograms. So to switch between pounds and kilograms, you just tap where it says pounds, and that metric will change, and the graphic will update. Additionally, you can, because 1RMs can be saved in pounds or kilograms, I believe if you set percent 1RM there in for, let's say you guys power clean in kilograms, if you set like 75% 1RM, it should automatically set the weight to kilograms within the app. So I will just switch it back to pounds, click done. Changing the exercise is kind of the next step. So changing the exercise, you'll just click where it says back squat, and then you'll just select from the list of exercises that we currently have. We manage this list currently, but we are working on ways to give you the abilities to kind of organize this view into like a favorites folder, for instance, to just make it a little bit quicker and a little bit more accessible. There are a couple of reasons why you want to change the exercise. One, it actually tells the camera where to look. So let's say you guys tell the camera that let's say you have a full rack and you guys bench inside the rack, squat outside the rack. When you select bench press, that camera will actually rotate, leave behind itself, and then look We have a half rack here, so it doesn't make much sense, but it'll actually look kind of inside the rack versus on the platform. The other cool features before you get lifting is we have kind of a historical view. So if I click where it says month right here, we'll actually open up a calendar view. So this can be useful if you want to actually see if you're within a, like basically, let's say today's Thursday. So last Thursday, you did a very similar lift and you want to see how you compared versus what you did last week. Pretty simple. Each one of these circles represents how that sets were performed on that day. Then you can see a number inside that circle that represents how many sets were performed. So if I click into April 8th, you see some demo data. Each one of these tiles represents a set, and then they're divided by, or they're organized by exercise type. So if I click into a specific exercise, so a split squat, you'll see that was a set of 2 at 135 pounds. You can click into that, and it'll open up this box, and you'll actually see each rep. And you'll see for split squat, for instance, we'll color those reps differently based off of what leg the exercise was being performed on. And then you can actually make historical edits as well. So if you click this pencil icon in the top right, we can now go into this set that was performed on April 8th and then actually make any edits. That might not be super valuable, but you can also do this right after the data is collected as well. So you can change the weight, the exercise, you can even change the athlete, report any errors, do all that cool stuff. And then just to get back to today, you just click the today button in the top left, will bring you back to today. And then the next step is to actually just start lifting. So we'll click the start button. Give me one sec. Flip off. Oops. Sorry, I accidentally exited the app. So we had velocity thresholds on, so I'm going to just take that off for the time being. We actually just updated that feature, so it might have crashed. So I'll log everybody back in. Well, I'll just log 2 of us back in real quick. If I can click it. All right, so we will click start, and then you'll see an empty bar graph pop up. And basically the metric on the top, those big green numbers, is the metric that you're looking at. So that's right now you're looking at 0 meters per second. That's mean velocity. But if we tap that number, you'll now see mean power output. So watts is for power output. And then we show some eccentric metrics as well. So that's eccentric mean velocity. And this is eccentric time. So I actually show you the time during that you were in the eccentric portion of the movement force. So I'll just stick with mean velocity for now. I'll show you what it actually looks like when you lift. So pretty easy. So no strings, no wearables. All this data is collected regardless of what lifts you're doing. You'll hit complete, and then you'll see a set summary come up. So this is where you can make any edits after the lift. So you can edit weight. So let's say I was actually lifting 135. Edit. I can edit what athlete was lifting, and then you can also report any errors as well. So a common error that you might get with us or maybe any other velocity-based training device is something called a ghost rep. So a ghost rep might be an additional rep where, let's say you're doing power clean, drop the weight bounces. It is very difficult to separate that from an actual rep because you see an upward portion, and we kind of err on the side of counting more reps because we don't want to miss any important data. But we do make it very easy. It's much easier to delete data than it is to add data, right? So we do make it easy to delete any extra data, and all you have to do is click a rep. It'll highlight, and then it will get deleted or deactivated from the system. So now you click save, and that actually reports an error to us, so that we can look at what happened and actually continue to try to improve our algorithms. You'll see that data gets automatically saved. So I can actually click into that set and then view that same like summary historical data that you saw on April 8th before, and then you can toggle any of these metrics. So these are those 6 metrics that we provide as well. And then again, it's the same view, so you can go back in and edit. You can actually undelete that rep if you want to. And then all that information is updated, saved in the backend. So that's a very basic high-level view. There are a couple nitty-gritty features that I'm going to skip over right now, unless there are specific questions for those come up. But I guess that's high-level web app auto-regulating in the weight room, collecting some data, and then it getting stored. Are there any? I'll stop right there to see if there are any questions, because I'm going to switch back over to the web app after this to show you some of the export and leaderboard features.
It doesn't look like anything. I think you're about to cover most of it in the export and leaderboard feature. But there was one just about programming components to Perch and whether or not you can incorporate those. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so we are talking with a number of, I guess there are a couple different ways. We are going to do some stuff internally. So that would be, for instance, prescribing like weight, exercise from your web app, for instance, that when an athlete logs in, the weight and the exercise will already be set. And then we'll eventually get into some sets and reps as well. Really the best experience that we can think of is like just a paperless experience where you're writing a program on your laptop, your computer, in your office, and then athlete walks up, they log in, the data is there, velocity thresholds are set. So basically it's like, here's what an athlete should be doing. They see that, they perform it, and then we're measuring what they actually did. So that data gets stored and then sent back to you, and then you can actually compare those. So that is something we're building towards. Right now, we don't have any programming features, but we've done our best to make it really easy for an athlete to change the weight, change the exercise. And then, so that's doing it internally. And then we are having a number of conversations with programming companies about potential integrations as well.
Thanks. And then one more question here. Is there any graphic or widget that graphs out rate of force development within the app right now?
No, not currently. So that, I guess that would be another metric, and that's not a metric we currently provide, but it is one that we are currently working on.
Great, thank you guys. Keep the questions coming too.
I'm just going to switch back to my computer really quick. All right, so I'm now looking back at the web app. So the two main features that I want to, I guess, a couple features I'm going to take you guys through. It's just the export to leaderboard, and it's something we have like a control center, so actually managing a lot of your devices remotely. So the first step is the export. The export feature is really where most people spend their time on the web app. It is very robust and really gives you all the data that you'd ever need in order to help you generate force velocity curves, look at your data over time. We've developed this in conjunction with a lot of our early customers, and currently it meets all of their needs. So in terms of all of this data right here is just ways to filter the data. So configure your export. So you can filter by specific exercises, specific users, and then teams and groups. So if I was to select a specific team, like the basketball team, you'll notice that an additional filter pops up here that will then allow you to filter it further down by specific positions if you want to. So I will uncheck all of those just because we don't have a ton of data in here. And then we'll click retrieve data, and then you'll get a quick summary of all the data in the system, or what your export actually looks like. So you can export this data now, or you can actually configure your export a little bit. And this looks complicated, but it really isn't. So we have two different types of exports. So there's like a set export that will tell you information about individual reps or individual sets. So this would be like your set average, your set max, or like your information about each individual rep. And then we have our aggregation metrics, which is information about tonnage, volume, number of sets, which can also be really useful because we do save and store all that data. So in terms of configuring columns, this is kind of just like set attributes. This is information about just kind of metadata, or like attributes of the set itself. So it'd be like first name, last name, or the rep. So first name, last name, like what position they are, so you can actually do some filtering. If you're just exporting all of your positions, like date, we can uncheck time, for instance. Maybe that's not as important. And then maybe %1RM. So it's you can't configure this any way you want. And then we will export the metrics as well. So I'll just select all metrics, click done, and then we can export this data. It will immediately get downloaded. And we'll see. It takes my computer to open it. There we go. So this is what the export will look like. So you'll see basically all the attributes, the set attributes that we told it to export. So here we're looking at a set that I did of back squat. It was the first set of the day. It was done at 135. Here's the percentage of the 1RM it was. Two reps within that set. And this tells you the row type. So it's here we're looking at individual reps. And then here we're looking at set averages and set maxes. And then we're looking at just all the metrics that we export. So pretty basic, or like very basic, clean, but all the data we believe you need until we get some additional metrics up here as well. You'll also see for like split squats, for instance. I don't think I exported it, but for split squats, we can tell you which limb it was performed on as well. So that will give you have the ability to generate some ratios or compare left versus right, figure out some imbalances, or if people are returning to play from leg injuries. It'll allow you to kind of dive deeper into that. So that's basics of the kind of set export feature. In terms of the aggregation export, I'll just go back into here and we will go into the aggregations tab. The way this export is set up is that the column is always going to be athletes, and then the row is going to be athletes, and the columns are going to be one of two things. So if right now the columns are going to be tonnage, volume, and number of sets. But if you click this box right here and click aggregate by exercise, the columns now become each different exercise. So if we do aggregate by exercise, you can now only select one of these because we'll show you tonnage by exercise. So we'll do it that way. We'll export this data, and we don't have much data in this demo account. So this is what that export looks like. So I only have two exercises that I've done, and you can see my name. And then so this will be tonnage. So like total, I guess that's total weight that I've lifted over that time period that we filtered, divided by exercise. So that's the basics of the export feature. Pretty powerful feature, but also pretty simple. We are also working on a number of integrations with athlete management systems currently, and then we will be building this out internally as well, getting more into a lot of data visualizations and reporting. But the export feature is where we started, just simply because it gives you the most flexibility to really dive deep into the data. The next thing is leaderboard. So velocity-based training is great for the data, great for the auto-regulation, great for the longitudinal data collection and fatigue monitoring, but it's also great for motivation, creating some additional intent in the weight room. So we've kind of created an experience around that to allow you to leverage that within your athletes. So the leaderboard feature is, it's all web-based. So this is getting updated in real time every 30 seconds. So let's say you have 20 devices in your weight room, you got all of them going on at the same time. All that data is getting uploaded, and then it's all being stored here or displayed here based off of kind of how you configured your leaderboard. Additionally, because it's web-based, you can literally just take this URL, and then we can copy it into a different tab. And now we have two competitions going at the same time. So you can configure this competition slightly differently than the previous one. And let's say you have two TVs in the weight room, you can throw each competition up on a different TV, so you can narrow it down a little bit. So configuring the competition, pretty easy. This banner up here is also completely customizable, so you can make that something specific to your organization. Configuring the leaderboard, you just click that little button in the top left. It'll allow you to filter, very similar like the export feature, just filter by exercises, teams, and groups. And then the left and right windows are time windows. So you can configure those windows any way you want. So you can have like an all-time leaderboard on the left for anybody in the system. And then maybe you can have like a daily competition and then choose what metric you want these guys to compete on. So like you could do set average of mean power output. And we'll click save. And that will configure this data. And then it'll continually get like updated in real time. So that's the basics of the leaderboard. We have had a lot of especially on the high school level, a lot of people ask for this feature. So we have developed this in conjunction with a number of our current customers as well. And then the last thing that I want to show you guys is what we call the control center or the managed devices screen. So that's just within our options. So you go to manage devices, and this is essentially a weight room view. So right here, each one of these little squares represents a device that you own or is in your weight room. And we know that because the tablet signed into your account has Bluetooth connected to that specific device. So we know these are all part of your account, and then you can essentially move these around. So this is really, really valuable for a couple different reasons. One, any troubleshooting issues, like if you have, again, 20 in your weight room, you could just basically rename these devices and then organize them however you'd like. So it's a virtual representation of what's actually going on in real life that can help you troubleshoot anything. Other key uses of this page is actually renaming some of these devices. So when you get them, they'll be just a generic name, but you can rename them to anything you want to allow you to help troubleshoot anything or just make sure you're on top of things. And then the last thing would be transferring presets. So we didn't go through how to set those, which we can go through, like get in touch with us if you're curious, but how to set or where the camera should look. So that's the only real calibration that you have to do within the system. So basically saying, okay, for a back squat, I want the camera to look here. For a bench press, I want the camera to look here. We've created a system where you can do that on one device and then transfer those presets, those camera positions to any other device. So that's just from the screen. So we'll click transfer presets. You can click one device and then just click the rest of them. So transferring from demo 46 to the rest of these demos. We'll cancel that. But that's like the managed devices screen. So this becomes more valuable the more devices you have, of course. So that is the basics. One other small thing is just an organizational settings where you just click into there and allows you to just configure your organization however you'd like. So that's that banner image that you saw on the leaderboard. So that is the basics of the system. We designed everything to just be very, very user friendly, and that's the feedback that we continue to get. Is just trying to make it as easy as possible. How do we allow you to collect this data? How do we allow you to auto-regulate your athletes without detracting from the workout in any way? How do we give you the ability to do what you do best, which is coach, instead of playing around with technology? And we do have a lot of features in the works to try to make that even easier. But that's really everything that we focus on. So I'm happy to answer. That's kind of it was a 1,000-foot or 30,000-foot view. So if you guys do have additional questions or want to dive deeper into any of the specific features, like there were a number of things from the tablet app that we just kind of glazed over. So feel free to get in touch with us if you want to dive a little bit deeper on any of these features. But I'm happy to answer any questions now if you guys have any.
Yeah, keep the questions coming. There's none just yet. I'm just going to throw in both Jacob and my email addresses in the group chat down here, so you guys feel free to reach out if anything pops up after this webinar as well. All right, so we've got a question here, Jake. When will iPads be able to be used?
Yeah, so iPads, that is that is a tough question to answer. So we have like an iOS app basically, but I guess I'm probably sharing too much, but Apple makes it very difficult from a hardware perspective to integrate with their tablets. It's mostly security features, so it'll require a slight hardware change for us, and that's something that we're actively working on. So hopefully in the next couple months, we'll be able to get iOS up and running. But it's much more challenging than just writing software, just because Apple likes to make things difficult.
How long can you talk to the battery and the battery specs? How long does the battery last, et cetera?
Yeah, so the battery should last 15 hours of continuous usage. And continuous just means if it's plugged in, it's getting used. The battery does have a little switch on the top, so you can turn it on and off. So we found that 15 hours of usage, it totally depends on your organization, but minimum it should probably last 2 days or a little less, and then it takes about 3 hours or 4 hours to fully charge. So we do get a lot of questions of which is best. So some of our big organizations, our biggest customers, like 20+ units, have gone wall power, while some have opted for battery power, just because they didn't want the hassle of routing cables, and it looks a little cleaner with the batteries. So if you do have a staff, of course it helps to have a larger staff, but if you just make a routine out of it, it's very easy to just take the batteries down and charge them overnight.
We've got question on max speed per rep, and if the software shows at what point in the squat, for example, that it happens.
Yeah, so we do have peak velocity, which would be that max speed per rep, and then that is a metric that we've gotten asked for, so like time to peak velocity. So that is something that we're going to get done pretty soon. It's just, for us, it's all a matter of prioritization. We're a small team, small companies, and there's literally 1,000 things on the development list. So that's certainly one of them.
Could you touch on exercise selection again? Are they able to change them, or is that something that Perch controls?
Yeah, so that's something that Perch currently controls, and we've a couple of reasons we do that. One, we want to make it easy to find your exercise, so we don't want like 1,000 lifts in the system. We have seen a couple other companies that literally has every variation of lifts in there, and it can get really complicated to find your lift. So right now we control it. The other reason we do that is each exercise is slightly different in the way that we track it. So for instance, a back squat is much simpler than, let's say, a power clean or snatch. The bar pass look a lot different. So in order for us to actually give you the right information, we have to know kind of the fundamentals of that lift. So if we were to give you the ability to add any exercise that you wanted, the tracking would just not be as reliable. So we are coming out with a way to actually allow you to create lifts. But right now we control it. So what we tell our customers is, if there is no lift in the system, if you do a lift that isn't in the system, let us know and we'll just add it. Pretty simple process. And then to answer the first part of the question, we are going to come out with a way for you to actually organize the current lifts that are in there to make it easier to find.
A couple more here. Does the program come with a manual to show how to do everything?
You mean like how to work the technology, or actually how to leverage velocity-based training? I guess to answer both, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Answer both.
Yeah, so basically that support site here, so you can access it both from our main like kind of marketing site or our web application. So this is the same thing. So if we click support here, it'll just bring you to our kind of, this is like our manual. So we have a couple different categories. It's like the startup guide. So if you are getting or starting up, we've organized these articles in a way of like, here's a quick overview, install the hardware, set up your organization, like actually lifting. So it's in kind of a chronological order. And then a lot of the same content is in the general setting as well, but now it's organized by kind of what part of the product it's in. So this should be everything you need to really dive deep into the product. In terms of velocity-based training and leveraging it, we have put out a lot of great resources on our blog for you guys to read more about it. Nika is also definitely an expert in it now. So if you guys do have any questions, I mean, we help out all of our customers in that sense, and we talk to them weekly about data they're collecting and what they can be doing with it.
A couple more questions here. Is the system just for weight racks, or do you have any plans to have the cameras able to time a 40 and measure a vertical jump, etc.?
Yeah, so it's not just for weight rack. Right now, it's mainly for like compound lifts. So like barbell lifts, safety squat bar, trap bar, some other implements as well. And then additionally, you don't need a weight rack to use this. You can take the hardware and actually put it on the ground, and you can track the data just as accurately. So that's something that we've worked really hard on. So if you're looking at like an Olympic platform, for instance, without a rack, you can still capture all the same information. In terms of some of the things that you mentioned, like 40, probably nothing in the pipeline to measure like a 40 just yet. I do think there's things in the pipeline to do measure other lifting implements and parts of the body. So a big reason with the camera route is because you're not limited to a specific point of the body or specific devices. So set the camera up, do a jump in front of it, like capture a vertical jump or peak velocity on that vertical jump, totally in the realm of possibility. Tracking dumbbells or kettlebells or like a medicine ball toss, also in the realm of possibility with that same device. That's all stuff. It's tough to put a timeline on that, but all within what we plan to do as a company.
A couple questions about the hardware. So the warranty and life expectancy of the camera, and also on top of that, when you're purchasing the system, is the tablet included? And then if you could provide a ballpark price as well.
Yeah, so tablet would not be included. So it's just like a standard Android tablet. So you can procure that on your own, or or we can sell it to you. So it's either or. You just download the app. In terms of warranty, it depends. We provide a standard warranty for free, and that's 12-month limited warranty. And then additionally, usually if you purchase the software piece of it, we provide our gold warranty, which is an 18-month warranty at no cost. That's what the warranty is. And then we do have like a platinum warranty, which will be like an additional cost. Ballpark price is kind of a hand-wavy answer, but it totally depends on your specific use case and what you need in quantity. So if you are interested in so I can't really give you a good answer on that, but if you have specific questions, reach out. We'll talk about your needs and what it could potentially cost you.
Quick question here as well. So some cloud-based companies keep the rights to all uploaded information. What's Perch's approach?
No, you own the rights. So we have the anonymized data, and we usually use that anonymized data to continue to improve the product. But you own the data. So if you want us to delete the data, if you're no longer a customer of ours, that's typically how we handle that.
Last question here for now. Can you go over adding an athlete to a team and a group really quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm back in the web app real quick. So I'll go back into where it says State University, such as your organization name. So if I want to create, let's just create a, we'll do this again. So let me try and think of the best way to do it. Yeah. All right. So right now we're in the all team. So to add an athlete to a team, you can do it in a couple different ways. You can go into like a basketball team and you can add an existing user. So by adding an existing user, it'll give you the option of available users. So it's not going to let you pick LeBron or Michael because they're already in the team. So I can now select myself and add them to a team, or we can create somebody directly in this group. So if I do create new down here, we can just do a test athlete, check, and now that athlete is within the system, and they'll also be within all as well. In terms of groups, we have this view dropdown or pick list right here. So if I drop that down, you'll see your 1RMs here, and then your groups. So if I click groups, you'll just see this group view. So you'll be able to view all of your groups. And then we can create like another group. So within group 2, click save. And then we can add users directly to that group, edit the group, or delete that group. So it is a pretty quick or agile process.
And then one more question came in here. So have you ever compared the system to a Tendo unit or a GymAware, and did it provide the same results?
It did. So we are, that is a question we get a lot. So we are going through our first third-party validation right now. And unfortunately, that does take time, especially given the current circumstances in the world right now. Most of our validation is done internally or anecdotally via our current customers. So like LSU, for instance, they were using Tendos before, and they did have a GymAware demo. So they validated our numbers against both those devices. And they're happy enough to move forward. Some of our other customers did the exact same thing. So in terms of reliability, very, very reliable in terms of like consistent difference. There usually is a small difference, and that usually just comes from how we might calculate our mean or peak velocity slightly different than like a GymAware or a Tendo does.
Another one came in here. So have you heard from current users of Perch about what data collected they like best?
What data collected they like best?
Yeah. So I think, yeah. Go for it.
So that's a very broad question. It always depends on the specific organization. So usually it's either just mean or peak velocity, and they will typically, in terms of data collected, the data doesn't necessarily have to be collected for it to be valuable. A lot of our customers just use it as like generally auto-regulating. So like LSU in season, they'll literally modify programs in real time based off of what numbers they're seeing. And they've told us a lot that usually velocity-based training is a way to auto-regulate. If you're lifting the weight too slow, take some weight off, and you'll be able to achieve that velocity and just auto-regulate. They did have some athletes that would always like, kind of what they said is they couldn't put enough weight on the athletes, right? They like, no matter how much weight, like if they were supposed to be at 75%, they were just moving the weight way too fast. So you could optimize, if the athlete's feeling great, you can actually optimize that lift and take advantage of that. So they would leverage peak and mean velocity a lot for that. And then additionally, they did create reports week to week and leverage those reports, the mean velocity, combined with some of their force plate data and GPS data to really kind of peak their athletes in season and make sure they just weren't doing too much, make sure their athletes are where they should be, like in season and out of season. So that's a very hand-wavy answer, but there are a lot of really good ways to leverage this data. And I think the main advantage that we try to give our customers is make it easy enough to collect that data. So a lot of our existing customers, before they went with us, they would literally just collect data on specific days of the week, specific reps of specific sets. But most of our customers now collect data on everything that they do. So it's like we'll see thousands of sets come in from a specific organization a day. And that gives them the ability to really dive deep and find some insights that they may not have noticed were there in the first place. So it just kind of opens up the possibilities.
And if I may too chime in from like a sports science perspective, I think that we're kind of at the tip of the iceberg as far as data collection goes. Once this data collection becomes super easy and easy to integrate in the weight room, kind of like Perch, I think that we're going to see a lot more kind of not only anecdotal but actual studies kind of being done on the fly throughout. So the more data we can get on our athletes, I think the better we can try to train them as well. Jacob, one more question came through here. So can you demo what a set with a velocity threshold looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Give me one sec as I just got to. Sorry, got to make the tablet presenter again.
While you set that up, is there a free run option to simply select an exercise and set a velocity threshold for athletes to target without worrying about recording data within their specific profile to increase time efficiency for certain days? So I imagine this is our auto mode.
Yeah, so I can show you the auto mode real quick, as well as velocity thresholds. I think the best way to show it. So there is a way. I mean, you don't need an athlete logged in to actually collect this data, but we do make it easy. So the whole goal is like, if you can't collect the data, like store it on your athlete, because you never know when that data will be really valuable for you. So let me just log these athletes in again. So I'll turn on velocity thresholds, So if I just do, so here I just went into our settings and I clicked a little row that said velocity thresholds. And then here, this is how we allow you currently to set velocity thresholds. We are working on a way to give you the ability to just set these remotely from your computer. I don't think we're too far off from that. And then once you set these numbers, you can actually toggle them on and off, because it would be a pain in the ass if you set velocity thresholds for like 10 different lifts, and then to get them to disappear, you have to delete each one. So we just give you a toggle to turn them on and off. So we'll stay on back squat right now. We turned them on, click save. And then when I click start, you'll see a little green band go across the screen. So that's that ideal range for your athletes. So anything above or below that range will create a different color or color differently. And additionally, if you just wanted a min threshold, you would just leave the max column blank. So it would just say anything above that velocity would work well. Additionally, I'll kind of demo at the same time. We do have something called auto mode, which makes it really easy to switch between athletes. So you kind of get past that save screen. And how you turn that on is you just click this fast forward button right here next to the exercise, and a little message will pop up, say auto mode on. And how this works is essentially a timing threshold. So it's pretty basic, but it does work really well. And we are going to work on a couple things, just make it a little bit more robust down the road, just making it easier to log athletes in and out. But here it's essentially we'll look for amount of time in between reps. So let's say you set it to 10 seconds. If we see greater than 10 seconds in between reps, we make an assumption that the athletes rack the weight. Now we automatically just switch to the next person. So I'll just demo both of these at the same time. And I'll just do some doubles. Then we'll move this one real slow. Rack the weight. I think it's set for like 5 seconds for the timing. So you'll see that now it's switched to me, and it will stay on my profile until it sees at least one rep, and then we'll go to the next person. So that's kind of how auto mode and the velocity thresholds work. Free run mode would just be if I just log everybody out and you don't care about who's logged in, you can still lift with nobody logged in. Same process. So I think it would be able to solve your needs. And most people have that question about speed of use. But we have, like, some of our customers will have 20 racks going at the same time, 60 guys in the weight room, and they're still able to log all of their data. So it's much quicker. It's another step, I know, but it's much quicker to like switch athletes than it is to change the plates on the barbell. So it won't take that much time to go athlete to athlete.
Last question here. Can you set one threshold across all tablets? I think you touched on this briefly, but if you could reiterate.
Not yet currently, but that's something that we have in the works. So just being able to set per athlete, per rack, that is something that's going to be coming out soon. Excellent. That's all we got. Cool. Well, this is getting recorded, so you guys should have this. Again, I think Nika sent out our email addresses. If you guys do have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. And I appreciate you guys taking the time. Again, I know big demand on your time, so it does mean a lot. So I appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.